Alrighty legends, well today we're going to be running you guys through exactly how to rig the brand new Daiwa Bait Junkie 6.2 inch minnow up for Barramundi. Now, as you can sort of see guys, just talking about it, we've obviously got this little stinger hook and I've had heaps of people ask me on Instagram how to rig it up because honestly, if you don't have that stinger hook on there, you will miss an absolute stack of Barra. And there's nothing worse when you pay all that money to go out Barra fishing and you miss that fish. So make sure you do this, guys. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Now, I'm not going to make the claim that I actually learned how to do this myself. I did get taught this years ago from a great angler that is a really good mate of mine. His name's Benny Durkin. Shout out to you, legend. You're an absolute champion. He's taught me a lot of things about barramundi fishing. He's a former #1 barra angler here in Australia, and he taught me this. And obviously there's been a few other barra anglers out there that do use this. I know there was a video put up a couple of years ago by Jeff Newby and Phil Lyons. Those guys there are great barra anglers as well, and this is one of their techniques. So I'm not going to make the claim that I learnt about it. I'm just going to share with you guys exactly how I've been doing it, and especially with these bait junkies, it's a great way of attaching this stinger hook. So without further ado, let's jump on into the terminal tackle on what you guys need to have when it comes to rigging this stinger up. So let's jump in. All right guys, so firstly, let's talk about the Daiwa Bait Junkie 6.2 inch minnow itself. So with this bait junkie, it is a 6-inch profile. It's got a big notch actually halfway down the tail wrist, and that causes this bait to have a lot of action. It's got a great barra roll. The barra absolutely love it. And the other thing is as well, it's really good about this bait. It's built with Elastomax Material, and with that being said, it is very stretchy and durable. Now, I've actually caught off over 2 sessions, I should say, not in one session. I caught 16 barra pretty much on one bait, and with that being said, it's such a cheap way of actually going out there and catching barra, because once you rig these baits up, there's such a great thing that they're so durable and they don't rip like other sort of baits that you come sort of pre-rigged. When they happen to be pre-rigged, a lot of the time they'll actually rip the plastic, especially when you've got those treble hooks connected. They rip around, and when that happens, obviously it rips the bait, and then you're gonna have to get the hot knife out to actually sort of mend that bait back up before you can start using it, and that actually becomes very frustrating. So these baits are awesome, very durable, and they've actually got an amino X scent in them as well, which is awesome. So Barra love scent. They work really well. Now moving on from there, we're going to talk about the Jig Head size hook, as you can see with number 2 here. Now the Jig Head size weight is very important, because a lot of anglers out there at the moment, I see this sort of like an ongoing trend on Facebook about people, and on YouTube I should say, about people using sort of pre-rigged baits. And usually when you get those pre-rigged sort of soft plastics, they're very heavy baits. And when the barra are up in shallow water, normally with these heavy baits, you have to really burn these plastics so you don't get caught up on weed too much or anything like that. But when you do use them, you're sort of at a disadvantage, where compared to using these new bait junkies, you can sort of adjust the weights to whatever you want to use. So I'm just using the TT headlock series jig heads with an 8/0 hook, but depending on sort of where the barra actually sitting, I usually use a 1/4 ounce straight up, especially when they're in the shallows. But if they obviously move out into that deeper water, that's where you want to up your jig head weight. But that's sort of where you're at a disadvantage. If you're using those heavy baits up in the weed, you're just going to get a lot of weed and it becomes an absolute mission. So this is where these sort of weights that you're actually going to rig up yourself really do come into its own, that's for sure. Now moving on to the third part, we're going to be talking about the wire crimped both sides. So you'll actually see here, I've actually got a wire crimp in between, so it actually hooks over the top of this eye of the hook, and it goes through the plastic itself, and then actually comes out in that split belly of the actual plastic that you can see there. Now that wire crimp is pretty important. It's just a great way of attaching that stinger. And the good thing is, like as well, like I said before, with these bait junkies, they actually can pull around and it's not going to rip the plastic whatsoever. Because of that actual Elastomax material, you can actually thread that wire through the plastic itself and it won't rip, okay, which is awesome. It will over time eventually, But look guys, 16 Barra on one plastic, it's a pretty good way compared to spending 15, 20 bucks on a lure and catching one fish and then it obviously ripping. So it's an absolute awesome thing. Moving on to number 4, we're going to be talking about the Decoy split rings. These things here guys, I can't give them a big enough rap. I've caught that many fish on these split rings, never had one bend out. Obviously depending on sort of how big the fish are, where you're going to be targeting them. In the impoundments at the moment, obviously they're getting bigger and bigger, especially in these lower sort of Queensland lakes and rivers. I'd highly suggest going up in size compared to lower. Like I've been using the 100 pound and the 80 pound quite a bit, and that's been absolutely awesome. I've never had a drama with those Decoy hooks. They've been absolutely awesome. Now, moving on to number 5, we're going to be talking about the trebles, guys, because having the right sort of size trebles is absolutely crucial when setting these stingers up. Now, I'm using a Y-S81 Decoy treble in the size 1. These things here are absolutely awesome. Chris from Decoy Australia actually set us up with a few of these. They're absolutely awesome hooks, guys. I've used quite a few trebles in my time of fishing full Barra, and these things here have been absolutely awesome, guys. They do not bend out. They're very, very sharp. As soon as a Barra comes anywhere near them, they do sniff them out very, very much. So gotta say, guys, these are absolutely awesome, especially for rigging these Daiwa Bait junkies. But from here, guys, what we're actually gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to set this Daiwa Bait junkie up so you guys have the best opportunity to go out there and catch an Australian Barramundi. So let's jump in and show you guys how it's done. Alright guys, so let's show you guys exactly how to rig this up. But before we do, I just wanted to say the wire that I'm actually using it's called Superflex, and it's around 60 pound test. And then obviously I'm just using the Superflex single sleeves to crimp that myself. It's pretty easy to crimp wire together, guys. If you don't know how to do it, I'm sure you'll be able to find another YouTube video that will show you exactly how to do it. But with that being said, let's show you guys exactly how to do this now so you guys can go out there and catch a stack of barramundi. Now, as you can see, I've already sort of rigged this. I'm not going to bore you with how to crimp wire together. It's pretty straightforward, but I've attached my Decoy SY81 and a size 1 treble up to a Decoy split ring, and obviously I've got a spare jig head just here, and that is super important when it comes to threading that wire back through the actual plastic. So what you need to do with your jig head is actually put it right at the front of that plastic, right where the eye of the hook is. You're going to push that actual hook through the plastic. Once you sort of get it in a halfway through the bait junkie, you're going to turn it over and open up the split belly of the plastic. Then you're going to try and push it through so that pointy end of the hook pretty much comes straight through that split belly of the plastic, as you can see here now. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to get our setup that we've already created. I'm going to put that over the point of the hook and push it over just so that wire actually goes over the barb of the hook. Now, when doing this, you want to use a very, very big jig head, because if you don't, you won't have a big enough barb to put that wire through. So once that's sort of through, you're going to push that that jig head back out from where you actually threaded it on until you sort of get the eye of that wire crimp just at the start of the plastic. You're then obviously going to push that barb back out, and then you're going to thread that eye of that wire crimp over the eye of the hook to give you that ability to actually make that wire not obviously fall out. And that, guys, is exactly how you rig a Daiwa Bait Junkie 6.2 inch minnow up. It's a great way, guys. You will catch an absolute stack of fish doing it. Make sure you connect that stinger hook on, because if you don't, you will miss a lot of fish, guys. Honestly, it's such a great and valuable way to go up there and target Australian Barramundi. Now, I thought I'd drop into the video as well, guys, a guy called Nicholas Moore. He's a Daiwa pro from up at Mackay. He's been using the Daiwa Bait Junkie 6.2 inch minnows as well. But he's been rigging it up a different way, and as you can see on the screen at the moment, he's done it a really, really cool way. So go and give him a follow on Instagram, guys. And have a chat to him about how he's going to rig that up. I'm sure he's probably going to drop a little video very shortly as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that one as well. Alright legends, well that is going to be the end of the video. Everything that we've talked about, I'm going to put all the information in the description below so I don't leave you guys hanging. You should be able to grab all that in there as well, guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But with that being said, guys, hopefully you love that bit of information. If you did, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. And I did want to say as well, on a side note, if you do like Australian bass fishing, I have created a group on Facebook called UNTAPPED Australian Bass Fishing. It's a group, really helps out a lot of people. They post photos, they ask questions, they do all that sort of stuff. But better yet, Daiwa Australia have actually come on board and they actually help us out with a photo competition every single month where they give us a handful of goodies to give away within the group, and all you have to do is post a photo of an Australian bass within that group. So love for you guys to be a part of it, and when you do, you can actually grab the Untapped Australian Bass Blueprint. It's a free ebook that I created to help anglers out to go out there and catch more Australian bass. And we've actually created a rod and reel guide as well to help you guys out if you're going to make a good purchase or the right investment when choosing a rod and reel for Australian bass fishing. So with that being said, guys, that's the end of the video. Can't wait to see you in the next. Hopefully you're out there whacking a stack of fish, and until next time, guys, tight lines.